Time for more Live from Seattle with Michelle Mendoza.
You know, after hearing this parody, I will never hear COVID-19 the same again.
COVID-19, oh, I swear I won't sneeze, not contagious, being in quarantine.
Yeah, it's horrible. Anyway, we are taking on the coronavirus today because it affects so much more than just your health. It's upended markets, disrupted supply chains. The supply chain's completely upended as well. Okay, what do you do? It's forced quarantines, and it is fertile ground for lawsuits. That's right. What takes place when the news of the coronavirus, we're on to some other big news story that has our feathers ruffled. Will we be dealing with the fallout of legal issues? There's a lot of legal issues to take on. And you think of hospitals and daycare centers, nursing homes that have been part of the outbreak. Did they take adequate steps to protect people? Will some of the people whose family members died, will they be filing lawsuits? Will shareholders sue if companies fail to act effectively? Do business insurance policies cover disruptions? Maybe they do for big businesses. What about small businesses, and who can they go after? What's the impact on the global supply chain? There's a lot to take in, so we pulled in the big guns. Why not? You know, we got to get some answers here. Quentin Brogdon, he practices plaintiff's personal injury trial law. He's a fellow in the invitation-only International Academy of Trial Lawyers and American College of Trial Lawyers, and he is our guest. Quentin, I'm so delighted that you could come on today.
Good afternoon, Michelle. Thanks for having me on.
What an interesting time as you are lawyer-minded, legal-minded. When you saw all of this hysteria over the coronavirus build, I bet you could see, wow, there's going to be a legal impact.
Well, there's precedent for it, if you will, when hurricanes blow in and when various viruses and contagious occurrences have happened in the past, litigation always follows. And we're already seeing that here with the coronavirus. We're seeing four main categories of lawsuits and legal claims. As you said, we're seeing suits against businesses that deal with the public or have captive populations, and those would include hospitals, restaurants, daycare centers, nursing homes, hotels, cruise ships, and with claims that they didn't take adequate steps to protect people. And as you said, shareholder suits claiming the companies failed to act effectively to respond to the epidemic, and that's causing a loss of shareholder value. We're seeing suits about business disruptions. Manufacturers can sue over missed deadlines, suppliers. There are contractual clauses, act of God clauses, and the question is this the kind of occurrence that will excuse a company's failure to perform? We're seeing in the third category suits against insurers. Does the insurance policy cover the business disruption or other claim? Standard property policies require physical damage to be triggered. They typically contain contamination exclusions, so it's going to be a case-by-case analysis. It just depends on the policy that the business bought, but there'll be, and there already have been lawsuits about that. And then finally, we're seeing employees make claims against their employers, claiming they weren't protected at work, either because they were exposed to other employees who had or might have the virus, or to members of the public who had or might have the virus.
Wow. So what I'm wondering is, because of all of this, will we maybe see some tweaking and changes in policy? I think one thing that affects pretty much everyone is when you're sick, you have time off leave. And if you run out, well, can you pay your bills? And there's employers, even our employer, if we're sick for more than 2 days, you have to come back with a doctor's note. And it's not always easy to take sick leave. And you wonder, well, there's a lot of people that go to work sick because they just can't afford to stay home. I wonder if after something like the coronavirus, Quentin, we'll start seeing changes?
Invariably, the law adapts and morphs based on things that occur. And what we see and what we've seen specifically for insurance policy, for instance, is they have adapted, in the wake of each occurrence. You can buy insurance for pretty much anything. It's just, are you willing to pay for it? And sometimes as new occurrences arise, there's ambiguity. Does the policy as written cover it or exclude it? And if it's not clear or there's some ambiguity, then you end up being in front of a judge or jury trying to get that sorted out. And then in the future, the insurance companies tighten up, change the language, put more specific clauses in there to attempt at least to remove the ambiguity.
Yeah, and oftentimes it doesn't always work well for the small business owner. Small business owners probably have the least protection in a crisis like the coronavirus, when people just aren't going out. People don't want to eat Chinese food because, those wontons could have the coronavirus. They don't want to go to the gym. They're not. And so you're seeing Seattle almost like a ghost town in some areas, us being at the center of the virus outbreak here in the United States. And it does affect small business. And, while big companies and supply chains may have some repercussion, it's harder for the everyday average folks.
There's just no question that mom and pop companies are going to be disproportionately affected by this. They're less likely to have insurance. And when they do have insurance, it's less likely to be as comprehensive or to cover as many things. And if they lose employees, they don't have as many employees. It's one thing if Bank of America has some employees out. There's going to be others, even if they're working from home, presumably in large part able to step into the void. But if you're a company that has 3 or 4 or 6 employees and 3 or 4 of those employees are home because they're quarantined or they're sick or they're coughing at work, you're going to suffer a disproportionately adverse effect on your income and your business.
Wow, how interesting. So moving forward, we'll have, we're going, it's just undeniable. We're going to see a host of litigation following the coronavirus long after the virus is no longer big news. What do you think we should be looking for?
Well, we should be looking for the suits against businesses. We should be looking for a new standard of care, I think, to emerge, because this is unlike anything that we've confronted in many respects, just the comprehensive nature of it. It's not like Ebola, where someone who was infected was readily, apparently infected. Many of the people who will be and who already are walking around with this virus may be asymptomatic or have symptoms that appear to be just similar to the common cold or the common flu. And the ability of a mom and pop business or of any business to discriminate, to determine, is this coronavirus or is this something else? The law has a standard of reasonableness. It's a thread that runs through the law, irrespective of what area of the law you're looking at. And the law requires generally that you take reasonable steps. And the question is, will that evolve over time? Now, will this become a new normal? Will the bar be raised for businesses? And will businesses now be required to take steps they haven't really been taking before? Screening steps, monitoring of their employees. Can they do that without invading privacy? Can I ask my employee, is that cold the coronavirus, that snivel, or is it just the common cold? Am I somehow violating their health privacy by doing that, for example?
It's going to be
all of that is going to evolve, I think.
Yeah, and I think there may be some good that comes out of it. Look, as you mentioned, the coronavirus, while it's not as serious as the media will often make it out to be, we've had far more deaths. Just even in our state, there were 19 deaths, was it, from the coronavirus? 75 deaths in that time of the flu virus. When you put it in perspective, we are not looking at a mass deadly pandemic that is going to wipe out civilization as we know it, as it was maybe portrayed a bit at the beginning, Quentin. So maybe this is a nice, safer time to really think things through, because with the way the world is connected, if something truly deadlier and dangerous to more people happens to spread, maybe this will be a reset that we need. And maybe sometimes the legal system can have its mark in that.
Well, they say with respect to military engagements, we're always fighting the last war. And I think that there's some truth to the idea that our legal system and our torts and our insurance policies and our laws are geared to, the last conflict, the last legal conflict. And over time, they evolve to adapt to new stresses and strains. And I agree with you. It appears, at least, that there's no cause for any of us to be panicking, and we need to put this in a perspective. And many people do die from the common flu. And although this percentage-wise appears to be more deadly, we still need to the extent we can, and we're allowed to go on with our lives. And the legal system will take care of these conflicts. It always rises to the occasion, in my experience. Judges and juries get it right much more often than not.
Well, I want to thank you very much for making time for us today. We have been talking with Quentin Brogdon. He's a plaintiff's personal injury trial lawyer and a great guest to have on the air. Thank you again.
Thank you, Michelle, and good luck there in Seattle. We'll be thinking about you, and I think we're all going to be dealing with it in all of our towns now.
Yeah, I agree. Thanks again.